Hello everyone, welcome to our January webinar following up on our last December report. My name is Crystal and I'm here with Joop, who was the analyst at Distimo and worked on this report together. And as usual, my first question is, can you all hear us? So I hear some yeses in the chat box. That's great. So we can start right away. Well, again, hello. I hope you all had a good time around the holidays and a good start to the new year. And as said, we now want to take a look at the report that we published in December, our 2013 year in review. So now we all are in 2014, ready to start the new analytics for the coming months. But it's definitely interesting to look back, especially to what happened in December. First, a couple words about Distimo. I try to keep this short since we have more content to show you guys. For those of you who don't know us that well, we are an app analytics company and we analyze basically the app stores with a very clear objective. We just want to make the app market more transparent, and our goal is to provide you guys with the most accurate app metrics and insights about the industry and the different app stores. So for that, we do support all the major app stores, definitely the Apple App Store for iPhone and iPad, also Google Play and the Amazon App Store. Those are the major ones that we always mention, but we also have other ones like Windows Phone and Samsung. And in addition to this, we also support for your ad metrics some of the ad networks like iAd or AdMob and also major other ones. So we're constantly working on expanding our product range there, and we hope that you can get the best out of our products. This support is mainly for app analytics, where you can track your own apps across all these different stores and ad networks, but we also have other tools like conversion tracking, which enables you guys to track your campaigns and see where you're best performing. And also we have an API, of course, so that you can export all those beautiful data points and analyze them yourself. But our main important product is AppIQ, and this is really our core product that we also use for these type of analysis and try to get the estimations for downloads and revenue metrics so that you can analyze your competitors. And maybe the next slide is a little bit more telling for this. So with AppIQ, you can see nice little curves like this. That's basically what we spend most of our time on here in the analysis team when we try to write these reports for you guys. You can track any kinds of events, price changes, or your competitor apps even, and see how they are performing in different countries and see different categories and use them as benchmarks for yourself. So the data we present here is mainly based on this product, as said, and now I would like to start to give you a short recap of the main findings that we presented in the year in review report. Most of you probably read this, and I try to not repeat too much because we also have some additional data, especially on what happened in December, and then in the end we will close with a live demonstration of AppIQ and show you what you can actually do within the product. So to start off, the review was a big report and it was lots of fun to aggregate the data. We published it in December, and that's the reason why all the data in the report is covering January through the full month of November, because at the time when we wrote it we didn't have to complete December yet. So it will always be indicated on the graphs which time frame this covers. And we start off with a really global perspective, so we just wanted to show you which are actually these top revenue generating countries that we see based on our estimates. So we see here for these 11 months, it's not the complete year, we see the US is still the leading country, followed closely by Japan and South Korea, and then the other 7 here in the line are following with smaller steps. interesting to see then is what led to this order. So we see this as the status for the year 2013, and this also didn't change with the current December data. I checked that this morning. But when we look back to the same time frame, January through November in 2012, and compare it to 2013 relatively, we see actually which of these countries grew the most. And that's really an interesting finding to see that the Asian markets here, South Korea, China, and Japan, show the biggest growth rates. Germany almost doubled. And then on the right-hand side of this graph, we have the more established countries or markets in that sense that showed a relatively smaller growth compared to 2012. So now that we know these are the top 10 revenue generating countries, I just hear that audio is breaking up. Is that still the case? Can someone confirm in the chat box if you're still hearing us?
I can hear you better.
Okay, maybe I'll try to speak a little closer to the microphone. Thank you. Okay, continue with this. At least the chat box is working, that's good. Good to hear you guys too. It's always funny to speak into an empty room. Okay, to continue with this. So now we know these are the top 10 countries, but it might be interesting to see how do they actually generate this revenue. And this is why we looked at the different business models. This already starts with a graph, but maybe first to explain the different models. First of all, of course, there's paid apps where you just pay a one-off fee to just get the app and you can use it for going forward without paying anything further. Then there's paid apps that you also pay a fee for when you purchase it first, but there may be additional purchases or features in the app that you can enable with in-app purchases. And the same is true for initially free apps that then offer in-app purchases to maybe unlock another level or enable another feature. This is pretty common in game apps. So here we see, again, data from January through November in the Apple App Store, and you see that these different business models kind of developed a trend over the whole year 2013 that really the majority of the revenue portion is coming from the free apps with in-app purchases. So in January, in the Apple App Store, and this is globally aggregated data, so over all the countries that we track, this portion increased from 77% to 92%, so 15 percentage points, and that clearly indicates this trend that free apps with in-app purchases are making the biggest portion in revenue on the Apple App Store. Interesting to see then is that the same for Google Play. Well, here we actually see that Google Play starts off with an even larger portion and ends up with 98%. So yes, this is definitely even more true for Google Play, and both stores are following this trend of the freemium success. Further, now that we know this is a global trend, we thought in the report it might be nice to show you guys that this trend can vary in between different markets and countries. And this is why we picked the United States as a representing country for more of the Western markets. And there we, of course, we also see the same trend, but the percentage of in-app purchases from free apps is not that high when you compare it with a more Asian market like Japan, the biggest market there. That shows, again, the 98%. So we see that the Western markets still give a little bit of a chance to the paid apps, whereas the Asian markets, this portion is relatively way smaller. And this graph was interesting then to continue this analysis to show it's not only differing between countries, but also the different categories of an app. So you see here like the 10 most revenue generating categories are actually ordered in this revenue order. So games definitely is the revenue strongest category, followed by social networking, newsstand, music, entertainment, and so on. And this graph really points it out that, again, in purple we have the free apps with in-app purchases. So the most revenue generating categories, games, social networking, newsstand, and also news here have the highest portion of revenue from in-app purchases from free apps. And we see that contrary to that, education, productivity, and navigation are still categories where paid apps or paid apps with in-app purchases have a chance to survive and make some revenue on. So this was really interesting to see. So navigation, there's a lot of course, GPS apps and apps that you can use in your car driving. They're relatively pricey. I think that's one of the categories that has the most expensive apps. And also education, there are some books, and productivity, there are some tools that people actually pay a relatively high one-off fee for, but they can just continue using it then without further in-app features. So this is what explains the higher portion of paid apps here. And then for news and newsstand, we see a lot of subscriptions, which also counts as in-app purchases, even though the app might be free in the beginning, but then you need to pay more to get more content or for games to unlock more levels or get more energy stars or Smurf berries or all these funny things that show up as in-app purchases. So this is what we had for the recap from the report. Now I want to begin to tell you something more additional and new. So just this week we could look back at December data, and the question is, well, now that we have December data complete, did it bring any changes to the top global apps that we reported on and to the trends that we saw or reported on in the year review already? So the short answer is yes, we saw some changes, and we kind of also expected them, because especially December is such a month that is always fun to analyze. There's a lot of unordinary events happening. There's a lot of new app releases. There's time off for the holidays and the winter break. Of course, Christmas Day, where maybe a lot of presents with iDevices or tablets or Android devices are given, and there's also a lot of app features in the stores, also looking back over the year or recommending stuff for Christmas. So all these factors will also be analyzed in more detail, and we're really looking forward to that. We're doing that actually this week for our new Top Global Apps blog for December. That will be live tomorrow, so you can also read more about these factors in that blog post, just a little sneak peek. And maybe to continue with what it actually had an influence on that we reported on in the report, we choose the example of Minecraft Pocket Edition. This was one of the top grossing apps in the Apple App Store. And yeah, for December, you can maybe look at this graph. We saw in November kind of a normal weekly performance of revenue, how we always see it. During the weekends it usually spikes, but then here it is, our beautiful Christmas spike. It's nice and pointy around Christmas Day, and we actually also had a little blog post on our website if you're interested on that additional data. But this is kind of the stuff that led to a lot of changes in December, or to a lot of additional revenue. So you see this is an extraordinary revenue spike that we see on Christmas Day. And for analyzing this kind of data, it's always interesting to ask yourself what is behind that. So our AppIQ tool gives us the opportunity to see events, as I mentioned in the intro, and these events are displayed here in the green columns. And you see here for the spike, there was actually 2 events going on. This app was featured in the US App Store in 2 categories. So one was time off for the winter break, and another one was Best of 2013 Crafting Games. So this game showed an extraordinary performance anyway, because apparently Apple picked it also to be featured in this cool game category. And we also thought it was really interesting because it was one of the only paid apps that was actually showing up in the grossing charts next to all the freemium models that we just discussed. So Christmas Day definitely brought some interesting performances to these kind of apps, and my colleague Jupp, who also wrote the blog post on the Christmas spike, will now show you a little bit more details on that.
Yep, Christmas time It's a special time in the year when people have a bit of time to spend, also to spend some time in app stores. Sometimes people get a gift for Christmas, like iTunes gift cards, which they spend. And also some people are lucky and they find an iDevice under the Christmas tree or in their Christmas stocking. And this always leads to a nice increase in volume and download and revenue. So this is our overview for Christmas Day.
Maybe just one little break. I got a little question here in the question box. You ask us if these revenues also include ad revenues. No, this is just the revenues that is made from the different business model as just discussed. We give the opportunity to our clients who use app analytics to track their ad revenue, but our estimations from AppIQ are purely App Store revenue made by paid apps or free apps with in-app purchases as discussed. Just to answer that question. If you guys have more, please feel free to type them in the box. We'll try to integrate them like this, but I want to give the word back to you.
Thanks. So you see two graphs, and pink the amount of the increase in downloads and blue revenue. And you see a nice increase of 53% in downloads and an increase of 56% in revenue, which seem like healthy numbers, and they are. But we did the same analysis last year in 2012 for Christmas Day, and then we observed some different numbers. Well, what we observed in 2012 was an increase of 87% in downloads and an increase of 70% in revenue. And we did the same analysis for 2011, but then for downloads only, and we saw an increase of 130%. So the numbers are dropping a bit. That's a trend that we observe. And another trend that you can observe is that in 2013 the revenue increase was actually larger than the increase in downloads. That could be down to the success of the freemium model, which you can also read about in our report over 2013. Most of the increase was due to an increase in Western countries. For example, in the US, we saw a 97% increase in revenue. And also in the UK, we saw an increase of 161% in download volume. But you can see the same trend in other Western countries like Canada, France, Germany, etc. Another interesting observation that we made was that the increase in free downloads was actually a bit lower than the increase in paid downloads. My guesstimate is that this is down to the iTunes gift cards that people might receive, and they treat themselves to a paid app, but that's just a guesstimate. Then there's...
Yeah, that was in line with the question that we just received. Of course, we can just see our numbers and estimates and try to find the reasons behind it, but indeed we saw, especially on Christmas Day, the number of paid downloads increase.
Yeah, we'll get back to that in our live demo in AppIQ.
Sure.
Well, there's also some other observations that we made in December regarding publishers. There are some publishers that actually launched their apps quite strategically. For example, Angry Birds Go, made by Rovio, they actually did a soft launch in, I believe, Australia
and New Zealand.
And New Zealand at the end of November, and just to get out the bugs, and then later on they launched it in other major markets, and it's paid off. They actually reached a fourth position in the iPad free rankings on Christmas Day. And another example is Cutler 2 by Z2 Labs. It was launched
only a couple days before Christmas, right?
Yeah, I think in the second week of December. And they actually topped the rankings, the paid rankings for iPhone on Christmas Day. So these are two examples who show that it might be beneficial to develop such a strategy for releasing your apps.
Yeah. So these are definitely all the things that we can see a little bit, yeah, show up unusually in December. And to get back to the initial questions, did December bring any changes to the top global apps we reported on? This is the chart of the top grossing apps that was published in the report. It says here aggregated over 2013, meaning the data January through November. That's explained in the report. But extra for this webinar today, we updated this chart and tried to include the influence of December so that we really have the top 10 grossing apps for the full year of 2013. And you can see here for the Apple App Store, the top 10 apps remained the same, just the order changed a little bit. And this was especially true for Minecraft and The Simpsons, who both moved up one rank, and Kingdoms of Camelot and Modern War, at the expense of these two apps, they both shifted down one rank because these two rose. And that can really be explained with these kind of features and spikes that we just saw. So especially Minecraft and The Simpsons were popular during the Christmas days and showed a great December performance, and that's what we wanted to acknowledge here to show you actually that these two apps made it to achieve a higher rank on the Apple App Store for the complete year in terms of revenue. Same analysis for Google Play. Here it's even a little bit more interesting actually. We also show the top 10 grossing apps as shown in the report, and again data inclusive December. One of the apps we saw, this cacao-based app from the Duff Sisters, has this little gingerbread guy. He rose up on rank 5 ahead of Line Pop, and then these are Japanese and Korean games that I cannot really pronounce or translate, but both of these actually, based on their December performance, were able to enter the top 10. So just their revenue from December contributed to these amazing achievement that actually two of the apps that performed better between January and November were not in the top 10 anymore after looking at the complete data, including December. All right, so this was the examples for the report. And I think now we want to go ahead and show you some live demos from our AppIQ product. I would like to start maybe with our leaderboards that you can also see in AppIQ. And in these leaderboards, if you have a subscription, you would be able to see our estimates for downloads and revenues, but I turned this off for this presentation. But maybe to explain you the product a little bit, we present all the three charts, free, paid, and grossing. We have all the different stores up here and the different countries and different categories. And I'm in Japan right now in the Google Play Store for a daily overview of December 1st. But if I go to the monthly overview, this will aggregate our estimates and create a monthly aggregated ranking, which you're also not able to see in the app stores because they just show daily charts. So even just this aggregated monthly overview for December shows you here that this Korean app that we just talked, this is a Japanese app that we just talked about that achieved the top 10 ranking just with the December data. I think it translates to the quiz with the black cat. That's how I recognize the icon here. So it was on rank 2 in December, so that means it must have made a lot of revenue, and this revenue portion definitely contributed to its top 10 rank for the full year of 2013. So this is one of the features that we offer in AppIQ. The leaderboards without any estimates and of revenue and downloads are also available on our website, so you can see the same view over here. You can have a monthly view. I'm on our website right now just to show you this feature really quick. While we talked about it, you can choose the country, so what's Japan. You can choose a different store, the Google Play Store, and you can choose the rank type to grossing. And then you will also see the same view that I just showed you within our product. This is on our website, available for free. To show you more about AppIQ, I would like to show you more of the beautiful Christmas spikes that we saw. Here, for example, we have a download tab overview for some Apple App Store apps in the United States, and I chose again Minecraft that we just had a screenshot of in our little presentation. So you see the Minecraft graph here in pink, that's the top of the spike, and then following you see Heads Up in green, The Simpsons in blue, and Infinity Blade in yellow, and these kind of spikes really are almost Christmas tree-like shaped. So you see on Christmas Day all of these apps experience like a spike in downloads, and that's exactly what you've just introduced to you with the Christmas spike. So of course we can just estimate what is the reason behind this. Some of them were featured like we just showed you for Minecraft. But it's really interesting to analyze these kind of spikes.
Yeah, and to stress that point even more, those are all paid apps.
Yeah, that's right. So except for The Simpsons, that's one free app. So even the free app had partially less downloads than Minecraft and Heads Up on Christmas Day. And that was what we saw on Christmas Day. Really, these paid apps kind of picked up, maybe with the gift cards from iTunes, who knows. But they definitely these are great successes for the developers, despite the fact that the freemium model is picking up so fast. But that was a great success for them on Christmas Day. Another example
over free app.
Over a free app for a nice spike is actually here Candy Crush. I cleaned this up for you a little bit. What I just did is now you can actually see the full curve, and you see again around the Christmas days here, just before January, there was the largest spike that we saw in downloads. This is data for the UK, again on the Apple App Store for Candy Crush, and it was really great to see for this app, even though it has been around for so long already, for over a year, that now this Christmas Day it achieved such a high spike in downloads. Why again? We look at our green columns again, and then sometimes we can see this here that the app was featured, and you can see that actually the UK App Store is said this app is cool to plan your winter break because you have lots of time to play. Maybe you're new to the App Store because you got a new device, or it was also one of the best 2013 Topgrossing apps. In line with our data, this is just UK data. We reported on global data for this, but this is what you can see in AppIQ. Another fun example, and this one for Candy Crush, excuse me, we just showed UK.
Yeah, we had another interesting development in Canada. It showed the same Christmas spike.
So you can also switch to different countries
between
here.
Countries.
And we saw this data here.
Yeah, and we observed a double spike actually in Canada. So that kept us wondering what happened there. And we saw that it was mentioned featured in the best of 2013 in free category in Canada. So that meant a double spike for the guys of Candy Crush Saga. So that was a happy new year to them.
Yeah, and again, new to the App Store, maybe for the new devices that were purchased in Canada. Another fun one, a little bit extraordinary as well, is actually our top grossing publisher Supercell with their app Clash of Clans. We see here data for end of December until recently, and you see the spike kind of started on Christmas Day, but it didn't drop like the other ones that are Christmas tree shaped. It actually continued. So this was really nice to see for us, that an app can actually keep on going and continue the success. And again, we saw the event feature best of 2013 Topgrossing app in the United States and actually also globally. So these guys really deserve this ongoing spike. A last example from AppIQ that I personally would like to show you, I also reported on it in the report, is actually some data for the Amazon App Store. The Amazon App Store, I feel like, is often a little bit underestimated when it comes to download volumes, and this is why I would like to share this example with you that shows Disney's Where's My Water 2 that is released on both the Apple App Store here in pink and the Amazon App Store in blue, and you can see the download volume in the United States over the months of November. So you can see that really on Amazon it was constantly above 25%. Maybe if I show you a nicer view, you can view it for the complete months, maybe in a column chart. And you can really see this portion that was also in the report mentioned, that Amazon has around 33% of the total downloads for this app, whereas Apple just has the rest. And this is really a nice substantial chunk of downloads for the Amazon App Store. Yeah, and this is mainly what we can show you in AppIQ. I have a look at some of your questions at the moment. Yeah, I see we have some more extensive questions, and we definitely will get back to all your questions via email. But we definitely enjoy all you guys' feedback. It was we received really great feedback for this report, a lot of cover also in the media. So keep sending us your suggestions for further topics that we can cover in our monthly publications. We will definitely continue these on a monthly basis. Always follow up with a webinar. And yeah, always feel free to send us your feedback and your questions. I'll show you our contact data here again. And maybe in the meantime, if you want to browse around more on our website, we also have this little feature called App Trends, where you can actually see these kind of curves on a 2-week basis. Of course, they don't necessarily have scales, but what we just discussed, maybe Candy Crush in North America, in that sense Canada, you see the download and revenue and also the rank in the different categories over the last 2 weeks. And then you also see this nice little double spike that we just reported on. And I just see we've reached our time, and I appreciate that some of you are still listening. I guess this is of your interest, but we probably will have to end the session soon. But as said, please follow up with your questions by email, and we will get back to you shortly. And thank you for listening.
See you next time, and all the best for 2014.
That's right. All the best.